Ever feel like your body is a total mystery? Well, buckle up, because today we're taking a deep dive into a topic that'll really make you think. Microchimerism. Imagine like foreign cells just chilling in your body alongside your own.
Right, right. Like little microscopic roommates you never knew you had.
It's kind of wild, right?
It is. And it's more common than you might think.
So for everyone listening, let's break this down. Microchimerism, basically, it's when you have a small number of cells from another person living in your body.
Yeah, and they can actually hang out there for like a really long time. We're talking decades.
Decades, seriously, it just blows my mind. But how does this even happen? Where are these cells coming from?
Well, the most kind of obvious example is pregnancy.
Oh, right, like the whole thing about babies and moms sharing cells.
Exactly. So fetal cells can, cross the placenta during pregnancy, and some of those cells can end up staying in the mother's body.
Wow, that's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah.
But is it a one-way street? Or can the mother cells end up in the baby too?
It's definitely a two-way street. We see the same thing happening in the opposite direction with the mother cells going to the baby. It's like this incredible cellular exchange happening between them. And the really mind-blowing part, these cells, they don't just disappear after the baby's born. They can stick around, potentially for the rest of their lives.
That's crazy, but like what are these cells actually doing in there all that time? I mean, are they just hanging out or is there something more to it?
That's like the million-dollar question, right? Researchers are still trying to figure out exactly how these foreign cells might be affecting us. Some evidence suggests they might actually be helpful, like maybe they play a role in tissue repair or even influence the immune system in some way.
Interesting. I've also heard some buzz about a possible link between microchimerism and autoimmune diseases. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, that's definitely an area of active research. It's complicated, but one theory is that these fetal cells might, in some cases, actually trigger the mother's immune system to kind of like overreact.
Overreact how?
Well, the immune system is usually really good at recognizing what's self and what's foreign, but sometimes it seems like it might mistake some of the body's own tissues for invaders, and that's when you can get an autoimmune response.
Oh, so it's like the immune system gets a little confused and starts attacking its own body.
Basically, yeah. And researchers are looking into whether microchimerism, like the presence of those fetal cells, might play a role in that confusion.
So it could be a factor in autoimmune diseases.
Potentially, yeah. They're looking at things like scleroderma, which is where the body starts attacking its own connective tissues. And some studies have found a higher presence of fetal cells in women with scleroderma.
Huh. That's really interesting. It's
So-
amazing how much we still don't know about all of this.
Right. It's like this whole hidden world inside us. And speaking of things we don't know, have you heard about the case of Lydia Fairchild?
Oh yeah, wasn't that the woman who was basically told she wasn't the mother of her own children?
Exactly. I mean, can you imagine? She'd given birth to these kids, but then DNA tests came back saying she wasn't their mom. It was a total medical mystery.
So what was going on there?
Well, it turned out Lydia was what's called a chimera.
A chimera, like the mythical creature with like a lion head and a goat body.
Well, kind of, but in this case, a human chimera means she had two distinct sets of DNA in her body.
Whoa, how is that even possible?
It can happen when twins fuse together in the womb. So basically, Lydia had absorbed her twin, which meant different parts of her body had different DNA.
Wow. So the DNA tests were right, but they were also wrong.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? They were picking up on the DNA from the twin that she had absorbed. It just goes to show how complex this whole area is.
Totally. It makes you wonder how many other cases like Lydia's are out there.
Right, and it makes you think about like what defines who we are on a genetic level.
That's deep, man. And it's not just pregnancy where we see this kind of cellular exchange happening. I mean, you mentioned earlier that it can happen between couples too, even without a pregnancy.
Exactly. So even through something as, normal as sexual intercourse, there can be a transfer of DNA.
Really? So like you're telling me that just from being intimate with someone, you could potentially end up with some of their cells hanging out in your body?
Pretty much. And there's been research showing that this isn't just some random occurrence. Like they found male DNA in various parts of women's bodies, even in the brain.
No way. The brain. That's wild. It kind of makes you see intimacy in a whole new light, right? Like it's not just an emotional connection, it's a cellular exchange too. What are the implications of that, though, I wonder?
Yeah, it's a trip. Researchers are super curious about that too. They're looking into whether this kind of cellular exchange might be a factor in things like reproductive health or even someone's chances of getting certain diseases.
I can definitely see why they'd want to study that. I mean, it's like our bodies have been quietly carrying around these little pieces of other people for, like, forever.
Yeah,
And we're just now starting to understand what it all means.
exactly. It's an exciting time for this area of research.
For sure. So, to everyone listening, next time you think about what it means to be you, just remember, you might be more than just one set of cells. You might be carrying around a little bit of your mom, your child, even your partner. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. If you want to learn more about this amazing topic, check out our show notes. Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.